Hello everyone. Very happy new year to all of you. Today we are here for our as a speakers club. I'm Purva. With me, Kushal and Arushi is there. So we welcome to the new season of Creative 4.0. It's a tradition. It's a long run tradition in speakers club, and we have our topic for today is a very trending comment made by Mr. Narayana Murthy, that is 70-hour work week. So, and for that discussion, to throw some light on that, we have one of our coolest profs of IFMR, and he's a IIM alumni, and as well as he worked 20 years in industries, and with that he has 7+ years of teaching experience. So please welcome Mr. Suresh Venkatraman.
Thank you.
So talking about this issue, sir, our generation is something which feels like working even 8 hours a day is a big deal. Now, Narayana Murthy, one of the most eminent personality in the IT sector and the sector which the service sector which employs most of our Indian population. Talking about that, about the statement of Narayana Murthy of 70 hours a week, how feasible is this in the current times, and what impact will it create in the future? According to you, sir, what are your views upon this?
Honestly, when I heard about this comment of 70-hour week, I thought he was talking about himself uh, and maybe for people who are entrepreneurs. Uh, in fact, Dr. Abdul Kalam used to say that a dream is not that which you have when you're sleeping. A dream is that which doesn't let you sleep, which kind of pushes you forward. A typical entrepreneur is led by that kind of a dream. Therefore, for an entrepreneur, whatever their chosen passion area is, that consumes all their time. So they really have no life apart from that. Even when they sleep, they work to the point of exhaustion and sleep. They would probably eat just to survive, so that they don't, so that it doesn't affect their output. So it's like refueling the car, right? They really have. Their dream is what they pursue so seriously. So when he said it, I didn't really take it very seriously. You know, uh, of course, then a lot of people started saying, "Hey, look, he's setting this as a kind of an agenda, and others will pick it up, and then people will expect everyone to work like this." Yes, that can be a dangerous thing. I agree. In fact, I remember a little later Chetan Bhagat wrote about it, and what Chetan Bhagat said is that if this comment had come from Virat Kohli, nobody would have taken it amiss, because they said, yeah, in sports, if you want to be at that level, you need to do that. But coming from a captain of industry, it can easily be misinterpreted that this is the expectation. Uh, Very likely it can be misinterpreted, and I think a lot of time has lapsed since he mentioned the original comment, and he has made another comment recently about getting up at 6:30. I think he had the opportunity to clarify, and he has chosen not to. Right? Which probably means he meant it for everyone. And that is what makes it very controversial.
So, sir, do you think that 70 hours per week is even sustainable in the long term? And what are some of the challenges that the employees might face?
Yeah, the moment we bring this kind of long duration, 70 hours, if you take it as, 7 days a week, nobody is going to survive, very honestly, right? 7 days of 10 hours a week, 10 hours a day, just totally infeasible. And if you're going to make it 6 hours, it is going to be more than 10 hours, then it's like you're asking for the impossible, literally. Uh, even in a very idealistic situation, even if you're able to have the employee's accommodation right next to the office, right, and say that, okay, the person will work, say, almost 12 hours a day, 6 12 is 72, right? What are you going to have? You're going to have an employee who can't use her brain beyond a certain time. He or she is going to just hang after a while. Brain will just not work. It's a fact. right? We face this problem in the class. It's so difficult to keep people focused for 90 minutes in the class.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes, sir. Even I feel like if you want to sustain such long working hours, you must be doing something that you really enjoy.
Yeah, you can enjoy. I'm not denying that. See, even if you enjoy, it's. I think we should distinguish between uh, work actually done versus time spent in the office, right? And unfortunately, in an attempt to impress people, or maybe because they are unhappy at home, whatever, a lot of people do spend more time at the office than their work really warrants. So somebody may work only about net maybe 6 hours a day, but may spend 10 hours a day in the office. And that creates an illusion that the person is spending a lot of hours. I don't think many people are really doing that, right? And yes, this comment is potentially dangerous, because then, some entrepreneur or some startup person can tell, their employees, see, even Narayana Murthy says so, right? And very honestly, it has scope to be misused. And honestly, from a pure biological perspective, it is just not feasible. You know, we can pretend that somebody is in the office for 12 hours. You can pretend for however long you want, but it's not feasible.
A very contradicting comment. There is Bill Gates said that 3 days a week a person should work 3 days a week, and there are so many companies in US and London as well who are following that. So, what do you think? Is that good?
See, what has happened is that post World War II, due to continuous improvement in technology, at least in the so-called well-to-do countries, the productivity per employee has gone up a lot, right? So if you look at productivity, it doesn't go up because the employee is working harder or faster. It goes up because for the same amount of hours of effort, you get more value-added output, and that's basically because of investment in technology. So capital is playing a very big role, in the output. You would have studied in economics, right? The original economics used to talk about the primary resources, land and labor. But reality is that it's more of capital and labor. So if the mix of capital is pretty high in any process, whether it's service or manufacturing, the mix of capital is very high, the per employee productivity goes up drastically. That obviously affords what I would call higher living standards, and it translates to lower working hours, right? The best example I can think of is not even service or manufacturing, I'll think of agriculture, right? The kind of technology and machinery used in the US for agriculture is amazing, and therefore they produce agricultural output, they produce food so much that it's enough for them, and there's still leftover to export. Uh, their surplus is so high, they feed agricultural edible food, what in India we would consider food, they feed it to their animals. Their pigs and their cattle are all eating food that we think is human food. That's the kind of output that comes out. So if technology comes in to such an extent, yes, it's possible to have, a shorter work week. But then the question comes, shorter work week, longer work week. End of the day, I think a little bit very careful about this, because let's understand that whatever we all enjoy today in terms of standard of living, in terms of any product or service that we enjoy today, is the benefit of cumulative effort of human beings. So if I'm having this chair, somebody has made this chair, and somebody thought long time back to make chairs. I'm able to see you better because I wear specs. Long time back, somebody has applied their mind on how to make specs. So to constantly want to say we are going to work less, like what you're saying, it sounds like these people are not acknowledging the fact that if they don't work, they're not going to create wealth for the next generation. And at least in Indian culture, we know that a typical mango tree which we plant, we never see the mango fruit. It comes for the next generation. And so if we are going to eat the mangoes that our parents' generation planted, are we not going to plant for the next generation? So this tendency to constantly shrink the work week, I think, comes from a, a certain element of selfishness and lack of gratitude. You know,
Capitalist mindset.
you're going the other end. I'm talking about the generation that says we want to reduce our work week, who want to say we don't want to work as far as possible. I think they're being very ungrateful. Not to you or me, to the people who have built it so far. You know, they're being selfish, they're being ungrateful. So I would say that the least they can do is create something that is going to outlast them. And for that, they can't keep on trying to shrink the work week. I agree, we need to come into reasonable balance.
Either if this continues, the next generation don't even want to work.
Yes,
That might be the issue.
possible. It's possible. One is don't want to work, the other is, I think they are also going to become incapable of working. I already see people who can't sit for 90 minutes in the classroom. How are they going to sit for 8 hours in the office?
Right? Thinking about us, we feel, I think, worried about what will happen to us.
No, I think you will just cross the hurdle. The problem is not you. The problem is the children who are right now still in school. Who are who are growing up with the sense of belief that life is only to enjoy. Of course, we must enjoy life. I'm not denying that. But if enjoyment is the only thing you're going to do, there is a big question mark as to whether these people are capable of being employed in any way at all. And to make matters worse, we don't have the support system to take care of children. So typically what happens is that given the kind of cost of living today, the husband and wife both have to work. They're just not around to take care of the kid. They're not around to tell them, do's and don'ts. And if the kid is trying to ask for any question or say something, they just give him some gadget to occupy him. What's going to happen? These kids are going to, the human interaction is required at that stage. You don't give human interaction and they grow up with warped views of what is life and what is enjoyment. I don't know if you remember seeing this movie called Bruce Almighty.
Yes.
Where Morgan Freeman plays the role of God. And he makes a very interesting comment. He says there's nothing like good old manual labor. Essentially, it's like we do work, we get satisfaction from the work, and then when we relax or enjoy, that the joy of that is much more. Psychologists will say that if a person has never cried, that person cannot have a hearty laughter because the person doesn't know the depth of emotion.
Exactly. They take it for granted.
Yeah, they won't even know. You can't be laughing all the time. You can't say, I'm either happy or happier or happiest. There has to be some down also. And we see this in music, especially in music, right? You have the music that makes you happy, that the beats, the stuff. And also there are pieces of music that put you into pathos, the violins and which take you down, so you listen to some music and you start getting tears in your eyes if you listen carefully, right? So I think we need both.
Exactly. Sir, talking about the issue about work-life balance, what tips from being you were in the industry for more than 20 plus years? What tips would you like to give for generation which is in the work right now and which is going to be in the corporate world? What tips for what tips would you like to give for having a good work-life balance?
I don't know it's as simple as only work and life. Okay, I think it was the Coca-Cola CEO who said you're juggling something like 5 balls. He said one is obviously your work or career. The second is your family. The third is your friends, right? The fourth is your own health. And the fifth is your self-development. And each of these require time. And he says it's very difficult to keep all the balls in the air like a juggler, right? And he says invariably you cannot do justice to all of them. So I would put it like this very simply. If you are looking at any kind of horizon of time, ask yourself, what do I want to do in this kind of time, right? Typically, people like me who were trained by Stephen Covey, the way we look at life is we have two time periods. One is the year and one is the week. So we have goals for the year, what we want to do on each of these 5 things, right? So for example, on the friends, we might want to say that I need to meet the following friends this year, right? On family, maybe I would say that I need to attend, my child's, what do you call that, school annual day, like that you fix certain targets, right? And keeping that in mind, start defining your, weekly targets, because then you give yourself some flexibility, right? In every week, you can't achieve all the 5. You can't say every week I'll do something for my friends, I'll do something for my career, I'll do something for my family, I'll do something for my health, and I will do something for my self-development. That is unlikely. But if you keep some kind of a goal for the year and live your life on a week-to-week basis, it's a little bit more doable. I say week because the day is very uncertain. We start the day in the morning with some agenda. In college is the only time you're going to have a timetable where it's kind of frozen, right? When you go to work, you start the day with a lot of, enthusiasm, saying, today I'm going to get this done. And then something happens. A call from a client will disrupt all your plans for the day, right? Huh?
The environment is very
Yes. You could have a fire accident. Somebody, a family member, could fall sick very seriously. Somebody could have a road accident. So the day is not fully in our control. Why we want, but if you have a focus for the week, you slip up a day, you can still catch up. So this is something from Stephen Covey that I picked up. I would say if I look at my weekly plan versus actual, if I'm able to do 70%, I think it's pretty good. I don't think 100% works. And if you look at the year, probably there it looks better. So I think if I'm able to do 80%, I'm kind of happy, for the year. And I do have goals for all the 5, right?
So as Kushal mentioned that you have been in the industry for quite a long time, what has been your personal approach towards having a perfect work-life balance? And any insights from your experience or any interesting stories that you would like to share?
There's nothing called perfect work-life balance. And I don't even, as I said, it's not just work and life. It's these 5 things that you're trying to balance. One way of kind of, though I mentioned 5 different things, one way of kind of reducing the burden on yourself is to look for things which combine some of these 5, right? For example, if one of the things I'm looking at is self-development, and that's one ball, right? One of the 5 balls. The other ball is, say, my career. If I can take on work in the office, which stretches me, which makes me a different capabilities, builds capabilities. So I'm now merging 2 of those balls when I do that work, right? Let's say I've been in sales for 10 years and I've been given an opportunity to spend, say, 6 months in the head office for launching a new product, which is a marketing exposure, right? Which I have not done so far, let's say. So that's a thing which is going to help my career, but it's also a self-development because I'm going to do something which I've never done before. I'm going to build new capabilities. So you see, instead of having 5 balls, now I have only 4 because I've combined. This is not long term. This is for just that time, right? Similarly, if I have, say, a goal saying that, I would like to spend time with my wife, which is part of my family goal. And I also have a health goal that I need to take care of my health. Maybe one way is that I walk with my wife every day in the morning. So again, I'm combining the 2. So I'm spending time with her and I'm also walking. So these are some of the ways you can do it. And there are people, as you said, you mentioned earlier that if you love your work, you can work for long hours. So that's also true. So if somebody's idea of fun is somehow built into the job, possible. So suppose someone says, she likes to overcome challenges in coding, and she's also employed in coding, right? It's two balls combined. That's probably one way, by which you can reduce it. I think there are times in our life we just have to say that, I think that's where this long-term perspective helps. Looking at the year versus the week helps, and sometimes you have to even go beyond a year, right? Like when my son was born, right, my wife completely stopped working, right? And she was not at all very happy about it because she constantly said, oh, I could be doing that. Oh, I could be doing this, right? And my father-in-law, that's her father, told her, look, for the next 3 months, you're anyway going to have a crazy sleep cycle. You can only sleep when the baby sleeps, right? And if you don't take care of that, you're going to get what is called postpartum depression. So it's a very serious problem. So he said, just don't think about anything else. You are only 20 something. You've got your whole life ahead. So it's okay if you lose 3 months. If you look at your life as, even if you look at your conservatively as, say, working till 60, and let's say you started working at 20, you're talking about 40 to 12, 480 months. In 480 months, if you lose 3 months of it, it's not a big proportion. It's okay. Don't make a fuss of it. This was my father-in-law's comment. I think he did a good job because if I had said, she wouldn't have agreed.
So, taking into perspective the women labor force, do you think it would discourage them because handling the household chores would be now more difficult if they have to work 70 hours a week?
Even without 70 hours, absolutely, I believe that sharing of household chores is absolutely a must. This business of saying women must work and also do household chores is totally illogical, unreasonable, and unworkable. In fact, my mom at one time, I remember, used to say a very interesting comment. She said, look at the birds. The male bird apparently builds a nest, and then only it can invite a female to mate with her, because otherwise the female says, hey, big deal, you don't have a nest. So when I was not married, my mom was telling me, you should have a flat of your own. It's okay if it's a 20, 30-year loan, it's okay, but you must have a flat, and you must show that you have all the facilities required. And you must demonstrate that you can do some basic housework. You can cook, you can do things. Because if you don't do that, the girl will say, why should I marry this fellow? Because, he's going to, why should, there is no motivation, there is no incentive for any girl to marry a guy who can't do his own life, who's going to sit and say, haan, chai de do. That zamana is over. That time is over. So if today somebody cannot demonstrate that I can do things for myself, I can even do things for you, if he can't demonstrate that, believe me, he will not get a spouse. There is no motivation for any girl to get married to such a guy. He has to demonstrate that I can fix my own food, I can take care of my clothes, I can take care of my surroundings, and the surroundings can be a little messy, which is how most boys' houses are, but at least he can do something of it, Otherwise, he will say, oh, why should I do what my mom was doing? I'll not. So, and this has happened to a large extent in the West. The willingness to get married has drastically fallen.
Right.
Specifically because of this.
So it goes both ways. Yeah, both should be 50-50.
Yeah. In fact, more than communicating, romance through music, which we saw in all that. I think if you communicate that, boss, I can take care of myself, I can even provide you food, and I can take care of your surroundings, I think that's a very good way of wooing a working woman.
So one message for our boys audience is, so learn some household chores as well.
Yes.
So I guess that brings us to the end of today's conversation. And I think we can all agree that choosing how to balance your work life with your personal life, you should focus on your goals first and then prioritize accordingly and have a good balance.
I like your sentence, what you're saying. Prioritize on the goals. And let's look at a different example. I don't know if you've seen, we have in these trapeze artists in the circus. They move from one end to another and they walk on a rope. Have you seen? And they have a big stick and they are balancing. So I do remember seeing a trapeze artist like that, and I asked him, don't you get scared? You're on top, you might fall down, etc. He said, if I look down, I will get scared. So then I said, how do you stay focused on balancing? He said, I have to do balancing unconsciously. Matlab, you know. So I said, then what do you focus on? He said, I focus only on going forward. The moment I climb onto the rope, my first foot goes on. After that, my only focus is I want to go there. That's all. The focus is only on the goal. The balance is the requirement to go there. Because if I start paying attention on the balance, I will never get there, and there's a very high risk I'll fall down. This was a trapeze artist's comment. So I like your sentence. What you just said, somehow I think you come up serendipitously with a very nice idea. Focus on the goal and the balance is easier to manage.
It happens automatically.
Yeah.
That's it for today. Thank you so much, sir,
Thank
and
you.
for your insightful ideas and the one planning for a week. That is because we usually plan for a day. And which never works out for anybody. I used to do that, never worked out for me. So I'll try to plan out for a week or a month. And thank you so much, everyone. And thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you.